One of the things that's universal about people who are new to flying fighter kites is their lack of understanding that a particular North American fighter kite, let's say this kite for example, will only fly well in a limited range of wind speed. And in order to make your flying experience really fun and enjoyable, you need to be able to match the wind speed you're dealing with at the moment to the kite that you want to fly. Now, I've taught many people how to fly fighter kites, and in the process, this is one thing that is universal among almost all of them. That they may be attempting to fly a fighter kite and totally frustrated and failing at being able to do it. And when I show them that it isn't them, it is that they have chosen the wrong kite for the speed of the wind at that moment. The trick is learning how to match the kite to the wind speed. And one of the most significant contributors to it is the bow, the spar going across the kite. Its length and its diameter. And generally what that does is it determines the size, the physical dimension of the kite. And generally speaking, larger kites fly in lighter winds. Smaller kites fly in stronger winds. That's a very general but good guide to help if you have a situation where you are attempting to fly a kite and it won't fly. It may not be you at all. It may not be that you have it adjusted improperly, that the bridle is exactly the way it should be, and that the spine has a curve in it exactly the right amount, and it still won't fly. And that's because it is too stiff, that the bow and the sail square inches that face the wind, when the wind hits the sail or you're pulling on the flying line to create extra wind, the kite sail has to be able to deform the shape of the kite. If it can't do that in the amount of wind you're trying to fly in, then the kite will not fly well or may not fly at all. The way that the fighter kite functions is that when the wind speed deforms the shape of the sail, then the kite will go in a straight line. But as soon as the tension on the flying line is released, the kite begins to turn and spin and be pushed away from the flyer by the wind. So those aspects of flying, especially for new flyers, that it's really important in order to accelerate the amount of fun you have and cut out the frustration that might occur if you don't do that. And that is to carefully pay attention to the kite you're flying and choosing the wind speed to fly it in that will allow the kite to perform the way you expect it to. So I test my kites when I'm flying by holding them up by the bridle to the wind and tugging on it as though I'm flying it with flying line a little bit to see, just to watch what the sail does when I do that kind of a maneuver. That will tell me whether the kite is deforming enough to fly well. Now, I take several kites with me when I go flying, no matter where I go. And this is the reason. I want to be able to fly at any wind speed that I encounter. So I have to have a kite. In order to do that, I need a kite that will fly in any wind. Well, there isn't any one North American fighter kite that will fly well in any wind speed. So I make kites that are larger and more flexible for lighter winds, and I make kites that are a little smaller and have a stiffer characteristic to them. When you press on the sail, they just barely move. And those are for high winds. And in high winds, those kites will fly very well. These kites that are made for light wind, when you fly them in strong wind, the kite deforms so much that the wind overpowers it, and it's virtually impossible to control it well. So I hope this helps to get your flying to a point where you really enjoy it and eliminate as much as possible any of the frustration that might come with learning how to fly a North American fighter kite.